Hey everyone, it's Karen at the Cool Tools Studio, and today I'm sharing a quick video on how you can use copper blanks to make plique-à-jour earrings or pendants. These copper blanks are the perfect thickness for this technique, and there's so many different ones that have negative space, making them a perfect canvas for this type of project. Plique-à-jour can be a tricky method to get down, so there's something especially appealing about using these blanks to practice or perfect your technique. You aren't out the time in creating the metal pieces that you're filling, and there's less pressure for things to be perfect while you're still learning. Not to mention, they're all just really cute, so pick out whichever copper blank you like best to use alongside these other tools and we'll get ready to go. To use alongside your copper blanks, I have a size 1 paintbrush, and then just any other brush that you're going to use to dust off the oxidation as you fire your copper pieces, and then some transparent enamels. You can pick whatever colors you would like, but I really enjoy the way that cool tones look with copper, so today I'm working with transparent Nile green and transparent sea green. Then you need some flexible diamond hand laps for sanding and refining the surface on your plique-à-jour in copper. And then some mica. This is a sheet of mica. I've cut it to be a little bit smaller and fit on a broken piece of ceramic fiber kiln shelf here. And I'm going to be placing that on top of a firing rack to fire my enamel pieces. I'm ready to start packing my enamel, but before I dive in, I want to just talk quickly about washing or sizing your enamel. I have this little container that I've already washed the enamel and have it in, but when you're doing an enameling technique where you want a lot of transparency, you want to wash or size your enamel prior to getting started. The largest particles are the most vibrant and have the most color, whereas if you don't wash your enamel, the enamel might kind of look sort of cloudy. So Cool Tools has several videos on how to wash or size your enamel, but for this project you want to be using washed or sized enamel. I'm going to be using 2 colors and kind of doing a sort of gradient effect, but you can just use one, you can do lots. It's entirely up to you. I just have them in this little container. It's kind of handy. You know they're clean once they're in there and good to go. And I'm going to start off with my lighter color. And I just like to pick up with a brush. They sell enamel spatulas and all sorts of other little scoopers and tools, but I think just picking it up on the brush and setting it down is a really easy way to do this technique without having to have lots of tools on hand. And for this kind of technique, there's probably going to be 2 or 3 firings. As the enamel fuses, it's going to sink a little bit, but I'm trying to pack almost up to the layer of my metal there for this one. And I also should say that this copper has been washed prior to getting started. And I also drilled a little hole at the top of my element here. Some of them are pre-drilled and some of them aren't, so if you want to hang them, make sure you have a hole to do so. So now I'm taking my darker color and starting it at the bottom. And then once I have both colors in there, I'm going to do a little bit of back and forth work to kind of bring some dark up into the light. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to allow this to dry before I put it in my kiln. And I'm also, before I fire it, I'm going to kind of check the sides. And if there's any stray enamel, try to encourage it back into the area where you want the enamel to be. You can clean it up when you're doing the sanding with the diamond laps, but any stray enamel is going to have to be sanded off, so if you can just save yourself the extra work by being a little more neat and careful in the packing process, that's always helpful. I'm going to be firing this enamel in a kiln that has been preheated to 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit. So I've fired my enamel in there, and when you're firing plique-à-jour, you want to shoot for orange peel, but when you're firing in a kiln without a window, sometimes it's hard to do. So mine is a little bit past orange peel, but if you fully fuse your enamel, especially on early layers, sometimes it'll kind of pull away from the edges, and you can always repack that, but it's just easiest to try to keep it as uniform as possible. So shoot for orange peel when you're firing, but if you go past it like I did by a little bit, it's not the end of the world. And you can see here that there's some oxidation all over the top here, and some of it has kind of bounced into my enamel as it's cooling. But I'm just coming in with a brush, and I don't want to pick my piece up off the mica and disturb it. I want to leave it on, and I'm using the brush to dust away this oxidation. If you're doing plique-à-jour on silver, you get to skip this step. But if you want to work on copper for the color or for the cost effectiveness, there's just this little quick added step of brushing away the oxidation. You wouldn't want to fuse the little specks into your enamel. Making sure I'm getting my corners. And then I'm going over all the copper as well. That way when it's reheated, they won't bounce into my enamel while I'm fusing the next layer. I'm going ahead and scoot in all the way off my mica, and I'm ready to pack my next layer. And I'm going to pack this layer just as I did the first. I'm starting with my lighter color up top. And then this time I'm going to take the lighter color a little bit further down into the darker color. When you're doing transitions and blends, there's several ways to go about it. Sometimes you can kind of pre-mix the two colors together in a little container and then pack those in the middle area and bring them up and down a little bit either end. But I like to kind of just keep my enamel separate and then do the mixing on the piece itself. But whatever you feel like works best for you, you just want to try to have a little bit of a blend between those two colors. If you want one, you might want the colors laying rigidly next to each other and not incorporating. So there's my darker. And then I'm just going to kind of work back and forth a little bit here. And then just like before, I'm going to allow it to dry and try to fire shooting for orange peel. If it's not all the way up to my top surface after that firing, which I don't imagine it will be, you want to go ahead and pack another layer and fire that until your enamel is up to the surface of your metal. So I've done 2 more firings on this piece, and the enamel is at or just above the layer of my metal there. So I'm ready to start cleaning it up. And usually I'll do this over the sink on a board, but for the sake of everyone being able to see, I'm just going to be dipping my piece into water and working on a paper towel here. When you're cleaning up enamels, you always want to work with water. And for something like this, I was taught to use aluminum stones when you start cleaning up enamels. It's called stoning. But for something like this where it's so delicate and there isn't really that much enamel to clean up, sometimes the sharp edge of the stone can catch on a corner and do a little bit of damage. So these kind of soft, flexible hand laps are actually a really good option for this technique. So I'm starting with a 200 grit. And again, since I'm doing this so everyone can see, I'm just dipping into some water off camera and then coming in with my stone, or I guess hand lap, and I'm bringing down that material. I'm doing this until I'm starting with 200, and I'm going to do that until there's kind of a smooth transition. You'll be able to feel it with your finger between the enamel and the metal itself. And then the metal, also the oxidation will kind of give you an indicator that where it's been cleaned up, everything will be flush and even. You can either press down and clean on it this way, or you can flip these and then support your piece. You wouldn't want to be on the ends here. You'd want to be supporting behind your enamel and work this way as well. Like I said, I'm going to keep dipping. You just want your piece to be wet, or you can work under running water at a sink. But you just want to clean up this piece until the enamel is flush with your metal. And I'll usually do a little bit and then flip and focus on the other side as well, because sometimes a little bit of enamel will sneak underneath against the mica, and you want to clean that up too. So 200 is a pretty coarse grit, so you can see that my metal's looking sort of scratched up, but we're going to refine that as we work our way down through the progressively more fine grits. So now that I'm done with my 200, I'm going to come in with my 400, and I'm just going to work my way down the grits until I have a surface that I'm happy with. For these pieces, I kind of left things a little bit softer because I liked the way that the cool toned enamel looks sort of like sea glass, but you can take these pieces up as high as you would like. So after you've done most of the heavy lifting with the higher grits, the lower grits go way faster. So I'll be wrapping this piece up before too long. I ended up finishing my pieces to about 1000 grit, and I'm really happy with the soft finish on the copper and the enamel as well. These enameled copper blanks are a great way to try out a new technique if you're looking to try out plique-à-jour. They're also great canvases for sifted enamel projects or stamped metal pieces too. I always have some on hand for quick and simple pieces, and I think you'll enjoy working with them too. Thanks for watching!